just allow my words to be the words of your heart. I am here. I am here, breathing in. I am here, breathing out. I know that there is great purpose in my sitting right here, right now. I know that this moment is for me. I know that the universe is friendly and it's for me, and it's brought me here to point me toward my own wisdom, to point me toward the experience of the truth, of the goodness of who I am. I open up my heart. I open up my mind. I relax and listen. Now as you are ready, you can open your eyes. And so today, I agree then, I too do not like the word potential. I like the word capacity. I usually change it in my mind to capacity, because potential does imply that there's somewhere yet that we have to go. And the point of spiritual practice and what we learn, right, as we grow and evolve spiritually, is that there is no point to get to later. That it is just right here, right now. And right here, right now, it's not about my potential, it's about my capacity in this moment to fully be and express and experience the truth of who I am. And so that's why I'm not doing a talk on potential. I'm doing a talk on You Are Your Future, which Jay beautifully tied in with the children and having the children be a part of today's service. So thanks very much, Jay, for doing that. Your future is determined by who you are today. I love this. So guys, I was listening to an interview with Malcolm Gladwell. Are you familiar with Malcolm Gladwell? He has basically created a whole new genre of books. He's a statistician and a researcher, and he's done the most recent book is called Conversations with Strangers. And he delves into these very famous examples of us making assumptions about strangers, about people, and the devastating consequences that they have. One example is Bernie Madoff, and how everyone assumed that Bernie Madoff was trustworthy, and later we found out not so much with Bernie Madoff. Those kinds of examples. And he gave this great analogy, and I love it so much, and it's so perfect here for talking about us and who we are right now. The reality is that our future is determined by who I am right now. So tomorrow is determined by who I am right here, right now, today, right? So let me give you the Friends example. The TV show Friends, you know it? Okay. So if you went home and you put on a TV show Friends and you put it on mute, you would be able to follow absolutely everything that was going on in the TV show. You would be able to tell that Monica was both upset with her brother and loved him very much. Can you feel that? You would be able to tell that Joey was very confused, but also trying very hard. Right? I know. I love him too. And so, the assumption is, and this is what we do, we don't even know that we do this. We assume that life is like that. And that we walk around and I can look at you, and if you're smiling, you must be happy. Yeah, I know. As we all go, I've smiled every day I've been happy in 45 years. But that is the truth of it. We don't even know that we've done it, but we've assumed that what we can tell what's going on with someone else by what we see on the outside. And it's logically, when we look at it, we go, yeah, that definitely isn't true. But just become aware of it. Become aware as you walk around in your life how every person you pass by, you've decided happy, grumpy, upset. Ooh, good boy, like that. You know what I mean? You're making constant assumptions. Now, here's the deal. Your future is not determined by what is on the outside of you. Your future tomorrow is determined by what is happening with you, your internal state today. Does that make sense? So I can smile, and it doesn't mean, because we've talked about this, we do need to practice joy. We do need to practice happiness. We do need to practice kindness. We do need to do those things. But life itself responds to and shows up as who we are in this internal state. I shared, I think it was last week, this wonderful day in which one thing after another kept piling up, right? And they were very, very small things. And even after, now that I've told you, like, to say it a second time would be to give way more credence to things that really were not important at all, but at the time felt really, really big. Felt like a big deal. But it was one thing after another. It was running late and doing this, and kid lost his coat, and then this one lost his water bottle, and then this teacher is giving me this assessment that Connor needs and telling me all the things that are going wrong with him, and I'm running around the school trying to find these things, and I come out, and a woman, a very authoritative woman, crosses over to me and says, "Ma'am, is that your van?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, "Yes. I've called the police. You're going to get a citation. You can't park there." And everything in me starts to go, you know, I just start to rise up at this very, very small thing. But here's the deal. I looked back at that day. I've since looked back at that, and I thought, why was life manifesting as kind of like one unkind or one hiccup after another? Like, what was that? And I saw very clearly that I had been beating up on myself internally for about 2 or 3 days. For about 2 or 3 days, I had been giving myself a really hard time about some things. And then what happened? Life showed up, my future came, and guess what? It was hard on me because I was. Does that make sense? Okay, so what is required is rigorous honesty and a commitment to our internal state. There is a balance to this. There is a balance to this. I'm saying it more times than one because I need to hear that, because I am a person that has a tendency to lock myself away and to just dive in and go, what is it about? And ponder life and all of those things. And we need a commitment to our internal state, a commitment to figuring out what's going on in here, with the balance of understanding that life is meant to be lived. And so we do look at it. We need to be committed to figuring out what's going on in here, but we also need to know when it's time to set it down and just go to the grocery store, right? And just go to the gas station. Like, I've thought about this enough. Life is going to show me what I need to know about what's happening inside. I can trust that. Peace and joy are your natural state of being. Do you believe that? You don't have to say yes or no, but I just want you to think to yourself. Peace and joy are your natural state of being. I have to say, I believe that 75% of the time. There's about 25% of the time where I think that can't possibly be true. It can't possibly be true that my natural state is joy and peace and well-being. And it is. It is our natural state. We've covered it up. See, we got to look at our kids today, right? Even the one that was going like this. That's my son, Connor. That's about sensory stuff. It's not because he doesn't love you. So, but understand that when I look at my kids and I see their natural state of joy and well-being, it's very clear to me that yes, indeed, joy is the natural state. Joy and well-being is the natural state, and it has been systematically trained out of me through my own perceptions and through what experiences and how I've labeled them, how I've chosen to file them away as beliefs. But peace and joy are a natural state of being. So our job is to tap into that. So when we meditate, we are not meditating to become peaceful, to become joyful. We are meditating to get in touch with the place in us that is always peaceful, is always joyful. That place in us is always there. The center is always there. The question is, what am I doing, saying, thinking to be off-center? Does that make sense? Okay, we meditate? Oh, I did that. Okay, good. So, intention. I talk about this all the time, right? Yesterday, Mary said to me, somebody's coming to look at my Volvo today to see about buying it. And I said, good, what's your intention? And she said, high's good for all, because she's met me. And I'm like, ding, ding, right answer. $100. But so intention, your intention determines your experience, determines your future, determines the outcome of what happens. Intention, not goal. So let's give the example of the car. What's your intention? To sell my Volvo. Not, that's a goal. The intention, there is an intention underneath it. It's just whether or not you've gotten in touch with it or not. And whatever that intention is going to determine the outcome and the experience that you have on the other side of it. Whether you sell the car or you don't sell the car, it's going to determine your experience. So here's the deal. Intention is always there. Like we say, be intentional. Trust me, we're all being intentional all the time. We're just not always aware of our intention. We can become aware of our intention by what we experience later and then look back, like I did on my day, where I went, why did I have this day? Why did everything seem to go wrong? Well, I looked back. Well, it was because I had been being hard on myself. So underneath all that I was doing was this intention to beat myself up, to give myself a hard time because I wasn't doing it well enough, whatever it is. Whatever that perfection thing is that I strive for. Does that make sense? So the recognition is that intention determines outcome, and you're being intentional whether you know it or not. And so we've got to become so what is intention? Intention is the why behind what you do. Does that make sense? So the intention is the why behind every action, the why behind every goal, the why underneath every relationship. You have to get in touch with your why, because what happens to you tomorrow is determined by what your why is today. Does that make sense? It did up here. Good. All right. So I love this. Byron Katie says, you want fear on purpose? Get a future. And I know. It's true. It's true. If you want fear on purpose, get a future. Start planning for it. Make sure you make very specific plans for your future, because that is where fear comes from. Because what happens is, as soon as we decide the outcome of something, we talked about this last week, right? Something happens. Immediately upon it happening, the thing that we determine, oh, I don't like this whatever this thing is that's happening, something happens, and immediately, even if we're not aware of it, our mind goes, this is what should happen. It flips it. This is what should happen. So now all of a sudden, we have a goal. We have a plan for the future. This thing. And so then anything that doesn't look like that thing, we'll ignore it. We'll go the other way, because we're going our own way. And that is not becoming aligned with the intelligence of the universe. That is one cell in the body going, hey, I don't care about the functioning of the body. I want to go do my own thing. And then what happens? Cancer. So it's the recognition that there is that one intelligence. We're aligning with it. I'm getting off track. But yes, so my job is not to worry about the future. I say this to myself all the time, because I'm a person, as I've shared with you many times, that has lived with anxiety since I was very, very young. And I don't know who first said it, but somehow I got the message that my job was not to worry about tomorrow, not to worry about the future. So anytime I caught myself doing it, I would go, whoa, whoa, whoa. My job is not to worry about that. My job is to be here now, to show up today with all that I am, right? Okay. So, I'm going to read the quote again on the front. This is Joan Chittister, and I've just been reintroduced to her. People call her Sister Joan. Love her! And what's so great about her, too, is that I just got reintroduced to her, and so anyway, she's written a new book, and I really meant to write it down, the name of it, but it'll come. Okay, let me read the quote. Humble people walk comfortably in every group. No one is either too beneath them or too above them for their own sense of well-being. They are who they are, people with as much to give as to get, and they know it. And because they're at ease with themselves, they can afford to be open with others. Having discovered who we are and having opened ourselves to life and having learned to be comfortable with it, we know that God is working in us. We know, most of all, that whatever happens, we have nothing to fear. We are free of the false hopes and false faces and false needs that once held us down. We can fly now. Let all the others scratch and grapple for the plastic copy of life. We have found the real thing. I gave this example, this quote, because to me, this is the perfect space for today, for now, for this moment. When you can be in this space, that is the space where you are ensuring the outcomes in the future of tomorrow be beautiful. Here's the thing about Sister Joan. She talks about Jesus the healer and Jesus the prophet. And I love this because we all love to talk about Jesus the healer. I love to talk about Jesus the healer. In fact, that's who I model myself after, Jesus the healer, the one that raised the little boy from being dead and fed the multitudes and turned water into wine. That guy's fun. You know, I mean, he's the one, the miracle guy, the healer, right? And there was another side to Jesus. And that other side was prophet. That other side was activist. That other side was the champion for the underdog. That other side was the one that challenged status quo and the people in charge and said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. What's happening here is not okay. Do you feel that? We have a tendency, I have a tendency to go, Jesus the healer, I got that going on for me. I'm doing that. I'm practicing that. But what about Jesus the prophet? What about the activist? Because here's the deal. It's not my future and your future. It's our future. We talked about last week. We are whole because we are part of a whole. It's not just my future. It's our future. And we have a commitment to our future. And how do we do that? So how we show up today is what determines our individual future. It's also what determines our collective future. We have a mandate to be not just Jesus the healer, which is that divine, loving presence that is love, that shows up to the person in front of them as love, that gives that, to be that, and to also question anybody or anything that would not do the same thing, and to champion anybody that doesn't have a voice for themselves. Love becomes a voice for those that don't have it and speaks up for them. It's a commitment, not just to my future, to our future. Did you see that I got authoritative during that part? That was very intentional. I hope you heard me. Let's pray together. So I invite you just to get comfortable in your chair. And breathe. And as you are breathing, say in your mind, I am here, breathing in. And then on the out breath, I am here, breathing out. In this moment, we are cultivating presence. We are getting in touch with our capacity for depth, our capacity for peace and joy. I invite you to bring to mind your future, perhaps a specific situation, something that is on your heart and mind that you are worried about, that you are trying to control in some way the outcome of. I invite you to bring that into your mind. And I invite you to lift it up. There is amazing consciousness in this room. There is amazing love in this room. We have joined together intentionally, and we as a group can hold each other's pain, each other's troubles. We take them now, and together, as one, we set them on the altar. We give them to that which is greater than ourselves. We take back all of the energy that we've spent trying to control our future, trying to manipulate things to happen in a certain way. We give tomorrow away, all of it. The idea of it, we give it away right here, right now. My job is to be here now. And I am committed to doing it. Let's take one more breath together. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes.